There's a lot of uncertainty and confusion in Britain now around Brexit. How would you describe the situation?
Really, there shouldn't be a great deal of uncertainty in that last year in the referendum we had, people voted to leave the European Union. Indeed, more people voted for Brexit than have ever voted for anyone or anything in British electoral history. Article 50 has been triggered. That's the mechanism where MPs voted to trigger this particular article of the Lisbon Treaty, which allows for a country to leave the European Union. And there's a 2-year countdown that began in March this year when that was triggered, which means that we will be leaving on March the 29th, 2019. What the government needs to do now is to ensure that all the existing European laws are transposed into British law so that there's a smooth transition, if you like, over that day from one to the next or when we leave. But there should be no doubt whatsoever we are leaving, and we should be excited about it, frankly.
Why?
Because this is about the British people having voted to take back control of our laws, of our borders, of our cash, and our trade policy, because for the last 40-odd years we've been members of the European Union and its predecessor organisations, where with every new treaty that's been signed, the European elite have moved towards closer political union, more centralisation, more pooling of sovereignty, to the point that the British people said last year, enough is enough. We want to have control of our country. We're the 5th largest economy in the world. We have the English language. We're unrivaled in a huge number of different fields. And we should stand on our own 2 feet once again. And in particular on the trade front, be able to forge our own trade deals with countries across the world on our own terms.
Do you think that Theresa May can negotiate the kind of terms that would give Britain the kind of footing to achieve what you think it can?
Look, there are several kinds of deal that could emerge at the end of this. One of them could be a bespoke free trade deal between the EU and the UK that comes into effect the day that we leave the European Union, or at the end of a transition period. Or it might simply be a case of the Prime Minister saying, OK, we will trade with the European Union on World Trade Organization rules on the day that we leave. Because, by the way, that's how we trade with the rest of the world. It's how the EU trades with the rest of the world. It's a perfectly respectable way of going about business, and then in due course, perhaps, negotiate a free trade deal with the EU if the intransigence that the EU appears to be showing at the moment means that they don't want to do that deal sooner.
What do you worry about?
I think the British people would worry if they saw the elected politicians from all sides of the House in some way trying to renege on their commitment to delivering Brexit. I think if they have good sense, they won't do that, because, as I said earlier, we saw more people vote for Brexit than have ever voted for anything in British history, that there is a mandate to do it. And those who are in some way trying to scupper Brexit, hinder Brexit, try and keep us in the EU by the back door, I think if they did succeed in doing that, I think the electoral punishment that those people would receive down the line would be considerable.
I know there are opinions on both sides of this. The Governor of the Bank of England has said that the British economy would be booming were it not for Brexit and the situation now. What's your perspective on what will happen to the economy as you go through this process and subsequent?
I think what we need to think about when we're referencing economic predictions is what we were told before the referendum by the Remain campaign and by people like the Governor of the Bank of England. They said that there would be an immediate economic shock to the economy, that there would be a recession, that there would be unemployment rising by 500,000 in the 2 years following a vote to leave. Well, none of this has come true. The unemployment figures in this country continue to improve month by month, quarter by quarter. The economy has grown by 0.4% every quarter since the referendum, and there's no sign of that abating. So I think we need to put an end to these scare tactics, what we call Project Fear, that we saw during the referendum, and actually bear in mind that we've got Project Cheer, because there's a lot of good news out there.
And the good news you're saying is the unemployment numbers. That's what you're suggesting. Do you think...
There's all kinds of good news. Companies are continuing to invest in this country. Businesses are wanting to do their business in the UK. Foreign investment has never been greater in the UK. We are in a very good place, and we should be optimistic and cheerful about it.
Thank you very much.